Prelude to the Revolution
by C.C. Gibbs,
Bret Hardy,
and Katie Miller.
The Navigation Acts. Passed in 1651, this was aimed at the Dutch, distinguished between goods imported from European countries and goods from Asia, Africa, and America. They were a series of laws that restricted the use of foreign ships for trade between Britain and its colonies. Began in 1651 and ended 200 years later.
the Salutary Act. It was a policy of Great Britain that relaxed the enforcement of strict rules such as trade laws. It helped colonies prosper by trading with countries other than England. It enabled the colonists to operate without the dependency of Great Britain and violated the Navigation Acts, which conclusively led to the independence of America.
The Proclamation of 1763. It was an attempt to make a western border in the 13 colonies. The boundary line was the Appalachian Mountains. This made it illegal to settle west of these mountains. This was made to make the Native Americans happy and, of course, save the British money. This did not succeed because too many colonists already had made their way out past the Appalachian Mountains.
The Sugar Act. This act listed more foreign goods to be taxed, including sugar, certain wines, and coffee, and further regulated the tax on lumber and iron. This disrupted the colonial economy by reducing the markets to which the colonies could sell the amount of currency available to them.
The Sons of Liberty. It was an organization made in America to oppose the Stamp Act. They were formed in summer of 1765 by American colonists. They rallied to support the colonial resistance against Great Britain, and by holding assemblies and signing petitions, they made their voices heard.
The Stamp Act. The Stamp Act was made in March of 1765 and stated that all American colonists had to pay a tax on each piece of paper they used, including legal documents and newspapers. All the money was used to pay the cost of defending and protecting the American frontier. The British were sneaky and didn't get it approved by colonial legislatures. The actual cost was low, but it was the standard that it seemed to set.
The Quartering Act. This required the colonies to house soldiers in barracks provided by the colonies. If these houses were too small to house them, they were accommodated to local inns.
The Boston Massacre. This was an argument between the British troops and a huge crowd in the center of Boston, Massachusetts. Due to this disagreement, the British regime was very unpopular in the northern part of the Americas. This was very chaotic, causing disaster and deaths.
The Gaspee Affair. This took place on June 9, 1772, at Narragansett Bay, Rhode Island. The Sons of Liberty attacked and set fire to the HMS Gaspee. The Gaspee was a British Navy ship commanded by Lieutenant William Duddingston. This was the first act of violence against the British. Even though no arrests were made, the threats did alarm the colonists. This was a wake-up call for the British that the colonies were unhappy.
The Tea Act, passed by Parliament on May 10, 1773, launched last spark to the beginning of the revolutionary movement. Radical leaders thought it was a way to get the support of the taxes. Selling the tea via British agents would have slowed local merchants' business. Colonists from Philadelphia and New York turned the British tea ships around. British ships filled with tea were stuck in Boston.
The Boston Tea Party. 342 chests of tea were thrown from the ships into the Boston harbor. The American patriots who belonged to this party disguised themselves as Mohawk Indians. These disguises symbolized them as independent Americans, no longer British subjects.
The Intolerable Acts. This took place in 1774. The British were annoyed with colonial antics and established these 5 laws. The Boston Port Act. No shipping and landing goods in the harbor until the colonists paid back the British. The Massachusetts Government Act. It regulated government in Massachusetts. Administration of Justice Act. People charged with crime were sent back to England. The Quebec Act. This extended the boundaries of Canada. The Quartering Act. Colonists were required to allow British soldiers to live with them. These acts led to the beginning of the American Revolution.
First Continental Congress, meeting of representatives from 12 of the 13 colonies. This lasted from September 5th to October 26, 1774. They met at the Carpenters' Hall in Philadelphia. Carpenters' Hall was the seat of the Pennsylvania Congress.
This is the bibliography page. Thank you.